Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, January 17th. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, come up to this microphone here. Give us your name and address. Tell us what's on your mind. Call the roll, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Kinsfater.
Here.
Kleeman.
Here.
Kupa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
Bolts.
Here.
Councilmember Paul is absent today.
Make a motion to excuse Member Paul.
Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Number 4, consent agenda A, City Council minutes of January 3rd, 2022, regular and closed meetings, recommendation approved. And Planning Commission minutes of December 8th, 2021, meeting recommendation received.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion approve A and B as presented, Your Honor.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll go to 5, ordinances resolution. A, resolution 22 approve poverty exemption policy and guidelines. Mr. Rothie.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is the annual resolution that is required, and it basically just updates the poverty exemption guidelines, which are used by the Board of Review to grant poverty exemptions. It just updates the income levels for those based on some type of federal data set, I believe. And again, it's something we do annually. The changes to the income levels were included in the packet marked up for you. This resolution accomplishes that.
I make a motion to approve.
Support.
All right, any questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Bolts.
Yes.
Kinsfater.
Yes.
Kleeman.
Yes.
Kupa.
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, thank you. B, introduction 2201, conditional rezoning. Mr. Rothie.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you this evening is an ordinance for introduction. It's a zoning ordinance amendment that essentially establishes a process for how conditional rezoning requests are to be handled and treated by both the Planning Commission and the City Council. This is essentially where an applicant for a rezoning brings with them in writing, written conditions that, if deemed acceptable by the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council, would bind, the property being rezoned, and if those conditions were ever not complied with on that property, the property would then, revert back to its previous zoning classification. So Planning Commission and I have spent the last few months working on this ordinance. It's been reviewed extensively by City Planner Dave Skirdo, as well as City Attorney Mr. Downey. Before you this evening, we're asking it for be introduced. There was a public hearing held by the Planning Commission, and they unanimously voted to recommend that council adopt it. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Under item G, where you have time periods for establishing development and use, you mentioned compliance, and it lays out some time periods, some other conditions there. Who does that enforcement? Is that going to be done through Planning Commission? Is that going to be done through administration?
For the section G, that would be the zoning administrator, which is a D, would be tasked with the actual enforcement actions, if there were any that would needed to be done under item G.
Thank you.
I got a question, one. Can we put this on our website so we can look at it prior to our acceptance in 2 weeks?
I don't see why not. We can definitely do that.
And I spoke to you earlier today about fee schedules. Would you like to kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yes, so with a rezoning request, there's a base fee. I believe it's $400. I don't know that for sure. And that, essentially covers publishing the notice in the paper, doing the mailings for when you rezone property, everybody has to get mailed within, so many feet, as well as, to handle some of the intake staff time, the building secretary, zoning administrator. So that's one part. Then with all rezoning requests, site plan approval, special land use approvals, we passed an escrow fee policy back in the summer of 2020, where the applicant is required to put forth an escrow. So that way if we have external review fees by the city planner, the city attorney, the city engineer, those funds are used to pay those costs. So that's how the fees for such an application would work. It's really no different procedure than a regular rezoning request.
Hearing no other questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve.
Support.
All right, the motion is made and supported. Questions, comments? This is just the introduction. We'll be back in
2 weeks.
February 7th. So if there's no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Roll call, Your Honor,
Do I need a roll call on that one?
for introduction.
Go ahead and do a roll.
All right, we'll do, call a roll, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Kinsfater,
Yes.
Kleeman,
Yes.
Koopa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Volz,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you, yep. Number 6 is reports of administration, Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Your Honor, I thought we were going on new business. I do have a few items to report. I want to give an update on the bike path for Clinton Avenue. MDOT has finished reviewing the plans in their second review period. AEW is addressing some of the comments and is finishing those up. We're moving forward with there was a few properties where easements had to be acquired. This is different than the easement acquisition for the North Riverside Sewer. These homeowners who are affected have long been in communication with AEW on what would be needed. So once that work is done and those easements are signed, the project will be ready to bid out immediately for Clinton Avenue Bike Path. So expect more work on that soon. Last week had some construction meetings with Piper Zach and Murray Underground for the water main projects. Those are going to be moving forward soon. And then this is very new, but I was invited to go to the Recreation Committee or Commission meeting a few hours ago, right at 4:30. Be able to talk to them about some of their ideas and projects, and the topic of splash pad came up once again. They're interested in exploring it, but and they're cognizant of the fact that this is, when we're talking about a project of the scale and scope, it's important to have, sufficient community and stakeholder involvement. So just as a teaser, we'll probably be coming at the next council meeting with an idea of how to form some sort of committee or work group, maybe a city council member or two, rec commissioner or two, Trees, myself, to kind of talk more on, location and scope of projects. So again, that's a preview of coming attractions, but the recreation committee aspect that I mentioned this evening is something that will be coming down the road. And again, that was just this a few hours ago, so I don't have anything more on that right now. And then also, finally, we did do our kickoff meeting with Evan Mark, the engineers for the Harbor North Wall project. Councilmember Kufa attended that meeting. I thought it went very well, and I heard back from them that they completed a lot of good observations during the site visit, and I expect to have a report by the end of January on the conditions of the boardwalk, the seawall, et cetera. So that's kind of what I was up to last week, and all I have to report this evening.
Any questions or anything from Mr. Rothy? All right, Mr. Attorney, you got anything over there?
Nothing this evening, Your
All
Honor.
right, any city departments?
I don't want this to sound trivial, but we just came off a Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I just wanted to thank Mayor, Council, Administration, and the city for the daily support we get. Excuse me. And I also wanted to thank Councilman Laporte and his staff at the Voyager for honoring us on the 9th. And what was special about that is they honored our spouses who sacrificed a ton for the profession we chose. So just thank you, Councilman Laporte, for that.
Thank you, Chief. All right, we'll go to D, authorities, boards, commissions, committee chairs, council reps. Anybody have anything? No unfinished business. We'll go to number 8A, road proposal, surface water intake project protection program. Mr. Rhodes.
So I'll give an introduction, and then we have Anthony from PCE to talk more if there are questions. We applied for a loan last year with the Drinking Water Revolving Fund for our water treatment plant improvements. Our application scored 280 points. The easiest ways to increase our score are essentially twofold. We could add a water main project to the work. That'd be 75 more points on the application. That's something that's actively being looked at right now. I was supposed to have a meeting today, and it got rescheduled to Wednesday to talk more on what that looks like. But the second thing, which wouldn't, add cost to the ultimate project of the $9 million, is to prepare what's called a surface water intake protection program. This is for an additional 100 points. So again, we scored 280. This is for an additional 100 points. And it's a program that analyzes the susceptibility of hazards and other factors, around the raw water intake, which is where the plant sucks in water from the St. Clair River. I requested proposals to do this work from a local engineer in Fishbeck. I was very impressed with Project Control Engineering's work with East China Township and Ira Township in preparing plans that were successfully approved by Eagle. Again, for the purposes of, again, mostly scoring higher on applications. So I'm recommending if council wants to go after this plan and program, increase our score, I'm recommending we award it to Project Control Engineering. And again, Anthony from PCE is here to answer any additional questions you may have.
So Anthony, two quick things from me. The 100 more points, I think, is valid.
Yeah, it's pretty significant, out of 1,000.
Right. And I also like the idea of a contingency plan if something happens at the raw water intake. You have experience with that kind of thing?
Yeah, like Warren said, we performed that just recently for the same purposes in East China. They have a drinking water SRF loan application, and we identified, actually through the help of the coordinators at Eagle, they pointed that out, that there's 100 points to earn if you were to do that, and that's something that's easily completed within the timeframes that we're working in and deadlines, and then it's a benefit as well for the water plant, because it's looking at the source water, and it's something also that every year your water treatment plant goes through a sanitary survey, and so in that sanitary survey you can see at your sanitary survey, they'll recommend that a surface water intake protection program is implemented. Every year that kind of comes up in your reports. So it's something that's kind of would probably be on your radar anyways, and on top of that, it's got a benefit when it comes to the loan application.
And I'll add that, in fact, at our last sanitary survey, this was one of the recommendations that Eagle made, was that we prepare a SWIP.
How often are we supposed to do this? Just one-time thing, or?
So Eagle puts out guidelines in the SWIP program. Obviously, if things change, then they'd recommend that you review the SWIP, see if it's significant enough that you need to do another study. But in IRA, they did it, and it's been at least 5 years. They haven't done another one. They're valid until there's significant issues that could pose a risk to the intake, and then they want you to do it again. So a lot of times that's up to, the risks that are out there, because that's the whole point, is that it's identifying risks to your raw water. So, but they don't mandate annual renewals or anything like that. So.
Ira and East China did this, and you did it for them.
Yes.
And did they gain 100 points, or did they not go through the loan process?
Yes, so IRA did it 5 years ago. I believe it was within a grant program, and that was the purpose of that. And then East China, we did it for them last year, and they did earn, well, so right now they're in the process of reviewing those points. They earned those points, but they weren't tallied in the totalized tally, because you have to tell Eagle, hey, you might have missed something here. So they're in the process of fixing that now. So we'll see if they're going to include East China in fiscal year 2022, because that moved them from a position of like 43 on the list to 22. So that put them well within the fundable range. So there was a little bit of an oversight on Eagle's part. They had people retiring, and because of all the people working from home. But they earned it, and it was accepted on June 22nd, so it was before the deadline.
Anybody else?
Warren, is this the first time we dealt with these people on quotes, on estimates or anything?
Project PCE, you mean? This is the first time I've solicited a quote from them during my time here, but I do believe that they did site plan work in the past for some of the other developments, but that was before my time here, so I can't comment.
I'm asking, it's quite a big difference between their $8,500 and the $33,000 from Fishback. I'd like to see them get on our bid list for anything they're capable of doing, because there's a big difference between the two bids.
Yeah.
We can make that happen, let these guys know when we're doing something so they can throw some numbers.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that. Local knowledge is also important. We'd be studying a surface area, protection area that's somewhat overlapping with East China's. So, it's the same body of water, so that gives us a bit
We're
of
looking at $25,000 difference.
quite a bit of an advantage, yeah.
Like I said, I'd like to see you guys at least get a chance to throw some numbers at us when all possible, if it's in your scope of work.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions? I would be ready to entertain a motion to award this proposal or not.
So moved.
All right, the motion made and supported to award the proposal. Questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Kleeman?
Yes.
Pupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Foltz?
Yes.
Kinsfater?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute recess because Warren has to do something magical with this screen to bring Danny McCartney into this meeting from Florida. So we'll take about 5 minutes, then we'll just resume.
I don't think so. Well, it depends if he's ready.
He's probably sitting in the bar down there in Florida.
That's what I'd be doing.
Have you seen anything
That's
on
what I'd be doing.
Huh?
That's what I'd be doing.
what they're proposing to do? They got the right people doing it, too.
Especially that football yesterday, they from Tampa. It was like 80 degrees,
Oh, yeah.
humid. I mean, wow. What would that feel like, day like today up here?
And then there was Buffalo.
Yeah, I was surprised there wasn't snow. As bad as that was, you could see the drop.
8 below.
Snow.
8 below.
Where's Shinsky?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Shinsky. Oh,
Even tonight, too. Matthew Stafford.
I thought of him in
I love Stafford. I hope he wins. But I hope
Wins by more than 3.5.
Well, I'll tell you, the Lions benefit if they get their draft pick this year. So it's hard to win. That helps the Lions out.
So if he loses, the tag goes. And win with good players.
The thing is, man, you're sitting there dealing at, what, between the 26th and the 32nd. Who cares?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Arizona's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I got pounded by the Lions. It was like a beatdown.
He won the bet.
Well, we had a bet on how fast you could do this.
Yeah, I lost.
I don't understand it at all. I love football, and I watch a lot of football.
That's just part of it.
I can't tell why this guy's...
Well, Dan owes you $20 in that.
Because the guys that I think are great college players, they just don't... The guys you never heard of. There's a protocol. We should start betting.
I'm down.
I'd say there's one. He was we got talking. He said,
And we're in there.
basically that's all. That's all we're paying for. I saw that. Not to mention the other thing that we're calling and they found these $1,000. That would have been my only question. He can't answer that question.
Still collecting their...
They probably gaveled him if he won. Like everybody laughed.
Yeah. Warren, if you're ready, I'll just hit the gavel and we'll go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're staying over there?
Yeah, just in the beginning. That's what Dana's done, essentially.
You ready?
Right, there's going to have
You guys ready over here?
Yeah.
We're ready.
All right, we'll resume. We'll go to 8B, Pine Shores Drainage Improvement Projects. Do you want to kick this off, Warren?
Yeah, I'll kick us off real quick. So before you, for discussion, direction purposes, is a proposed project at Pine Shores. We're all aware of the flooding and drainage conditions that exist at the golf course. Over the last few months, the golf commission, besides Dan, I think there's a few other members here on the golf commission who are supportive of this project, as well as member Kinsfater, who sits on the golf commission. I think we have a solution to the water. It would be the installation of 3 sump pump systems. There's electrical boring that needs to be done, conduit pumps, drainage tile, things like that. Dan McCartney has played a large role in designing and developing this project. He's here to talk about that part more. I am going to the Community Foundation at their February meeting, which is February 14th, for a grant application for this project. The total project cost is $91,934. Adding a 10% contingency to that, you're at roughly $101,000, or I'm just going to refer to it as a $100,000 project. I'll be seeking a 50% match from the community foundation. That's typically the highest range they like to see people ask for, especially on big requests. So again, there's lots to talk about, the mechanics of the project, financing the project. We want to put it forward today, generate some discussion. So that's all I have to say at the moment. I'll sit by Dan still so I can relay questions to him. Like Mike asked a question he might not be able to hear over there. But otherwise, I think, Dan, you want to go next?
Sure.
All right.
As everybody knows, we've had a long-term problem with standing water at the golf course, especially around the tee box on hole 3, around the green on 3, the tee box on 4, fairway on 4, and the tee box on number 5. We are proposing to put sump pumps. I don't have the print in front of me, maybe you guys do.
They do have it in front of them.
In front of number 3 tee box and number 4 tee box, and over by the pond on the fairway of number 4, and then running French drains out into the fairways, out around the tee boxes, and number 3 green, number 4 green, number 5 tee box, and either running those into the sumps or running them into the pond. We believe this is the best solution to solve this problem, and what we need is you guys to approve it so we can get started.
All right, see you later, Dan. Butch, you want to add anything to this?
One of the big
questions.
One of the big pluses for this too is we've always had problems with the pond on the back of the course. We have a gasoline pump that's been sitting back there for years and just running, and this fix would eliminate that, right? Isn't that correct, Dan?
Yes, it would eliminate that gas pump. We would have the electric pump there. We could keep the pond level down. There virtually is no noise that's irritating the people on the other side of Pine River. Would be eliminated, and then we could keep the water. We can get the water flowing where we want it to flow instead of where it wants to go.
What do you need from us tonight, Dan? Butch?
Well, I mean, I don't know what we can do. I mean, Dan had told us earlier in a meeting a few weeks ago that the contractor for boring the underground for the electrical, he's backed way up. So, I mean, the quicker that we can get this thing going, we can at least get him in line to do this. So maybe we can take care of the problem maybe before spring, which is, I think we're really hoping to get that done. I mean, Bob might want to get up and talk about the impact that this water has had with the course, with the leagues backing out and everything. I don't know, you want to get up and say some things, Bob, or?
Hey, Butch, ideally, we'd like to get the directional boring done as soon as we could, as soon as we can, possibly even this winter yet, and get the electrical run, and then that'd give us time in the summertime to start running the French drains.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, this has had a real impact on the golf course. We've lost quite a few leagues. Greg Hawkins was managed to put one of the leagues back together, but some of them, if we could get these problems addressed, I know we would get some more back, because they're guys that want to play there. They're loyal to the course. They're just fed up with having to deal with these ongoing problems year after year. So this system should take care of that. That we're confident that this is the answer to our problems back there.
One other thing too, doing it this way, we wouldn't have to shut the golf course down at all to to put this system in. We may have to shut hole 4 down for a half a day or something during the season to run the French drains, but we wouldn't really have to shut the course down at all.
We have it all planned out where we could keep everything open.
Right.
We've already started making some changes. We put in cart paths to where we could do cart paths only and keep the players on that. But this is really going to be the answer to the problems back there.
So the biggest thing is funding. And
Correct.
As Warren has mentioned, he's going to be going to the foundations. You also had some possibilities of maybe some alternate funding. I mean, if we can get some foundation money, that's great. If we have to borrow money from the city or whatever to get this done and pay him back, whatever, it's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either we do it or, I mean, it won't be long. We won't have anybody golfing there.
Right.
Because when it's really bad, you're sitting there sending people out to play 7 holes.
Yeah.
And they just don't get it.
Or asking them to come back and play 2 other holes over.
Yeah.
And they don't like that.
But they're only playing, they're playing 7 holes.
Right.
9, yeah, they're getting 9 holes on 7.
That's not desirable.
Yeah, that just turns people away.
Right.
At this point tonight, do you need anything more than just a vote of support from council to say that we're going to do this, or?
Well, the last time we went to the foundation, they did indicate that we needed to have some support from the city before they would even consider it. So
Supporting votes or supporting money?
commitment, right?
I would say
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah, right.
Vote for a commitment.
Yeah.
And I can say just a little bit more, you know, obviously the foundation's a great thing for the community. A lot of good work on projects. I don't know if this project would, you know, receive full support. You know, any support's better than none. I'm also going to say and seek if it's more amenable with them and their cash flow, a multi-year commitment. So if it's, okay, we'll give you this much, but, you know, over a 2-year period versus 1, you know, anything helps. As far as funding sources for the balance of the project, you know, we do maintain in our general fund a reserve for capital improvement projects. We could draw upon that. We could draw upon that just in a direct grant, or we could structure it as a loan. Typically, then there's a policy that's, you know, drafted, adopted by council that just says this transfer is being done from this fund to this fund. Why? Here's the payment schedule. That's probably for a course like this, in a project like this, the best course of action. So those are the recommendations as of today. I don't know if it's, you know, if we're ready to entertain a motion where it would be the city, in the event that the city is awarded the full grant, they are willing to commit the balance. Like, I don't know if that's something that council would be ready to do this evening, going into the meeting. And then, Bill, you sit on that board. I don't know if there's any comments you want to make about, you know, how they operate, what we look for. Obviously, you're a yes vote. I would hope, but just looking for
Pretty presumptuous of him, isn't he?
Yeah.
again, just looking for some guidance and some discussion on, you know, if we don't get the money, we still have a flooding golf course, and it's.
And we're going to have to do something one way or the other.
Right.
So, I mean, whether we get a verbal commitment, which is going to do virtually nothing, or we get a commitment to finance it one way or the other, I mean, just put it out there, and if the only funds we get is from the city, the golf course commits to pay it back.
So how do we word that to make an approval?
Well, I think if you're going to the foundation, the city has to be behind it. If you get
sure.
grant money.
Yeah.
I think you have to underrate the project. You know, find out what the community foundation's going to give you and go from there.
Yeah, I think the project is very worthwhile, and I also think that how we poise ourselves or position ourselves on this with the foundation is important too. So tell me if this works for anybody who can just chime in. And we just make motions, and I say that we're going to do this project. We're going to go to the community foundation, try to get some support. Notwithstanding with that, if it has to be a loan from the city of the golf carts to be paid back, that's what we do.
I'll make that motion.
And by making that commitment, can we start to get the project started?
We can, like, tell contractors to
schedule.
I mean, it's,
I would think
that
so.
motion sort of sounds like we're committing to paying for
Connect to
it.
the projects, man, it can,
My question is, how much money does the golf course actually have to put in with the city's money? I mean, is the whole thing
belong to
gonna
the golf
be
course?
financed through the
Yeah.
city, or?
Yeah,
The golf
because,
course gonna put up a percentage, or?
no,
It'd be a loan.
it's gonna be a
I
loan.
understand it'd be a
Right.
loan, so if you get 50,000 from the community foundation, you're gonna want 50,000 from the city.
Yes.
So there's no money coming out of the golf course fund other than repaying the city back the money. Okay, and I got a couple questions on it, on the quotes there. A lot of it says that Pine Shore is responsible for making connections, whatever that means. Pine Shore's responsible for filling in the ruts and all that good stuff. What's the cost on that, and is that part of the?
It'll just be part of our maintenance. I'll work it into our maintenance budget for the year,
Okay, now, these pumps, are they gonna discharge into the pond or the river?
into the Pine River.
Okay, is there any, I'm just asking, is there any issue with the DEQ about dumping groundwater into the rivers?
I don't believe so, because that's where it all goes anyway.
I understand.
That's just the natural cycle anyway.
I mean, but, you know, you put fertilizer and everything else on this ground, and if you're gonna, I mean, physically pumping into the river and naturally running in the river, to me, is two different things. So my question is, do we need to ask the DEQ about discharging into Pine River?
We can. I don't believe it's going to be an issue because I fill out a form for the DEQ every year that logs the water we take out, and then, and on that form, there's an allowance for the water that goes back also.
Like I said,
So that,
natural draining in the river and physically pumping in the river, you're gonna put a lot more water into the Pine River, correct?
well, we're pumping in the river now.
Well,
That's what we're
what's
doing now. We're basically just changing from a gas
So does the
pump to an
DEQ give
electric
you the
pump.
blessing for what you're doing now?
No.
No, they don't?
Well, I never asked.
Well, then
Yeah.
my question would be, I'd like to know if this is gonna be an issue down the road with the DEQ. I mean, if you're just pumping it in there without permission, that tells me they don't know. So I would like to get an answer from them, because you fertilized all that crap, the greens and everything else, right, with pesticides and fertilization, and all that stuff's now gonna go in the river. I'd like to have an answer on that before we spend $100,000 on something that we can't do.
Warren, you can make the call to Eagle, can you?
So yeah, we can certainly reach out to Eagle,
Yeah.
in advance of,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
All right. What else?
Well, just, if you don't mind, just a second.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, being on the golf course commission and one that plays golf there, and we have an issue. If we don't solve it, what do we do then? What goes on next? We just continue this way and lose players, and eventually what? Because there's an issue, and it's been a long-standing issue, and this is the solution. So if we don't fix it, what do we do?
I got nothing against fixing it, but, you know, let's make it right.
so I'll make the motion to move forward with the project bearing the approval of the DEQ phone call from Warren.
I'll support it.
All right, the motion made, supported. Questions? All right, call the roll, please.
Koopa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Volz?
Yes.
Kinsfater?
Yes.
Lehman?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Good, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
guys.
Bob.
Have a good evening, man. Thank you.
Yep, bye.
All right, we're going to move to number 9, claims and accounts for January 5th and January 13th, 2022.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Number 10 is public comment, public questions. Anybody have any non-agenda items? 3 minutes if you want to come up and speak your piece. Give us your name and address and tell us what's on your mind, please.
Hello. I'm here to discuss an experience I had with the city code inspector.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Pardon me?
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Oh, Sheila Fisher, 204 Devon. Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Now, in the beginning of December, when we had some of those windy days, my basketball hoop fell over into the middle of my driveway. And I didn't even know it until I was taking my trash out at 11:30 at night, as I usually do. I've lived here for 14 years, never once took my trash out early. But I didn't know what to do. I called my neighbor the next day. He came over, cut it up, cut it away from the pole, and I kept the pole. So the only thing out by the curb, which was out by the curb for 17 to 19 hours illegally, it was Tuesday night. He put it by the curb for Thursday morning's trash. I didn't think another thing about it. Next week, I get a letter in the mail telling me that I put my trash out too early and that it has been brought to their attention that I put my trash out too early. And at the bottom of it, it says, if you have any questions, call me at this number, which of course I did, because when it said I put my trash out too early, the basketball hoop never even came to mind. I thought, I never put my trash out early. What is they talking about? So I called him and said, mister, you got the wrong girl. And he said, now wait a minute. He said, let me pull it up and see what we're talking about. Oh, the basketball hoop. I said, the basketball hoop? Are you kidding me? It was out there. Now, as of Wednesday at noon, it was legal to be out there. And I said to the code inspector, well, who brought this to your attention? No response. I said, well, don't I have a right to know who my accuser is? Well, maybe it was me. Maybe I drove by and saw it. I said, well, then maybe you should have backed your car up and pulled in my driveway and came to my door. If you're going to enforce the code, now's the time to do it, not a week later. I just felt like I wasn't treated fairly at all. I don't need my name on anybody's record. I don't care what kind of a record it is. And I'm like a good citizen here. I've lived here for 14 years. I don't think that was fair to me. He could have came to my door. I don't understand why he didn't come to the door. Why send me a letter a week later? And obviously, I don't know if anybody saw my letter on the St. Clair page, but I wasn't alone. There was 50-some comments on there until Annette cut off the comments. And now there was one person that had a nice thing to say about the man. Now, I understand he's just doing a job, but if it had been an ongoing thing, or it was 90 degrees out and I had a dead carcass laying there, then I could bite the bullet. But I don't think I should have to bite the bullet. I don't think my name should have to be on there for that. He could have given me a verbal warning. I didn't even know there was an ordinance like that. And half the city doesn't. Most people don't sit and read through those ordinances like I did after I got the page. They're not in layman's terms. Half of them wouldn't understand it anyway. And on the code he's talking about, it doesn't say trash. It says garbage or rubbish, I believe. So I just wanted to say that, I love the people, I love the town, I've been here a long time. My grandparents were here over 50 years ago, but I don't think that was fair. I think the man needed to use a little bit of discretion, considering the windy day circumstances, considering all he had to do is come to my door. I could have dragged it back in the yard for a few hours, because he says this originated on the 8th, which was a Wednesday, so he had to see it sometime between 8 in the morning and noon, and then feel that he had to go back to his office, write me a letter and send it to me. Why couldn't he come to my door? I don't get it, but I'm not the only one that doesn't get it. There was a lot of comments on that letter, and none of them were good but one. So he needs to have a lesson in people skills, common courtesy, and common sense. And I'd just like to know if I can have my name taken off there. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
I don't want to say too much more.
All right, thank you for coming in.
I just got one question on it, Bill.
Yeah.
Warren, does he knock on the doors before he leaves a letter, or does he try to? Does he try to, talk to the people?
Well, that would be the time to enforce the code.
I'm just curious. Does he try to knock on the door, to address the issue with people, why, you know, why he's there, when he sees it, or does he see it, drive away, then issue a letter? I guess my question is, how does the process work?
Yeah, what's his procedure?
Pardon me?
What's his procedure?
Yeah, pretty much. How does it work?
I think he does a mix of both. When, you know, follow up in person, follow up via letter. When one is used over the other, you know, I can't comment on at the moment, but you know, it's definitely something that, you know, as we see the processes play out, and we get feedback, we can definitely, you know,
Yeah, because I'd kind of like
accommodate.
to know how it works, because a knock on the door, like she says, she was home, could have solved the problem and eliminated a whole lot of standing up there and, you know, and nothing against it, people got the right to speak their piece, but, you know, I just got curious, if you let me know how the process works. A knock on the door, like she says, goes a long ways.
Thank you. Phil?
Good evening. Phil Lundman, corner 9th and Clinton. That's a tough act to follow, Sheila, thank you. I wasn't prepared to talk on this, but since Mr. Rothy brought it up, the bike path you're referring to, it is the one from Kearney to M29, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you got a date as to when you're going to get with the people along Clinton Avenue to resolve any issues we may have?
We're targeting at the end of the week. Don't know if it's going to turn that way, so I would be within the next 10 days. I would say you'll be hearing something.
Okay, because I spoke with Ryan at the last meeting, and he told me that it was on the verge of getting.
It is.
Okay.
Yes, it still is.
I just want to ask all you gentlemen up there while I got. Are you aware that this project can't be done, and with the grade being maintained, like I challenged the engineer, they cannot do it without coming onto our property? I don't know if you're aware of that, to the tune of 8 feet maybe, approximately, give or take, a couple of inches. I don't know if you're even aware of that. He said he could make it work. Well, I know you can make it work. The question is, can you make it work on the city's easement? You cannot. And Ryan, even back a while back, he even admitted it when DJ had told me. He said, I don't know how they're going to meet that grade on you. And I told DJ, I says, they can't. I says, it's mathematically impossible. And, well, I didn't tell him that, but basically that's what it was. And Ryan even confessed, he says, yeah, it's about 8 feet or thereabouts onto your property. If they're coming 8 feet on my property, they're coming on 8 feet on the other 2 properties also, at the very least. So I don't know if anybody up there is aware of that. If you doubt my word, ask the engineer. I've worked with engineering drawings when I worked for Boeing. I know what I'm looking at. And their drawing even shows it coming past the property line. They got it right away in abbreviation. It even shows the line past. So I don't know why there was confusion when I challenged him, prove me wrong. And the other thing is, I don't know if you're aware of this either, and I brought this up to Ryan a little bit ago. If they do this as planned and come straight in off of the street, they're going to dig into our sewers. The bottom line is, Michigan state law is your sewer must be maintained 42 inches below the ground level. I would imagine you would want to maintain that in the city of St. Clair. If I put a new sewer in, I would certainly have to maintain some sort of guidance. So if they do that, the cost is now going up. Now you got to do sewers, and 2 residents have water lines, 2, maybe 3. I don't know about the furthest one up, but the next 2, I believe, have water lines off of Clinton. They'll be digging into those also, real close, where the frost line is a problem. Frost line's 42 inches via the state of Michigan. I looked it up. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page and we're doing this together. The last thing is, they initially, when they talked to us about this, they told us that, and I know I'm probably going over 3 minutes, but oh well. They told us that they were going to maintain the north line of the sidewalk, and then in the next breath, maybe have to snake around a little bit. Now I'm hearing this thing got put off because of bats. An endangered bat species was living in the trees, and they didn't want to disturb the trees. What trees you plan on cutting down? There's only 4 trees that are on the south side that would be the roadside. 3 small trees from the Riverside Bar down. There's no bats living in them, they're too small. There's only one tree at 1310, and that's right next to the Legion. So if there's other trees that are proposed to be cut down, you got the cost of taking a tree down, and what is the neighborhood going to look like when you start chopping down these 100-year-old plus trees? I want you all to think about that before you make a command decision and go forward with this. I got more, but that's enough for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Anybody else? All right, we will go to number 11. Mayor and council, anybody have anything for the group here? Just a reminder, this weekend is the Icy Bazaar, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think it technically starts Thursday. Fireworks are Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Certainly take a moment to remember Martin Luther King Day today. Anybody else have anything? I'm going to go to number 12 and ask for a closed session for a motion to request to confer with legal counsel for the purpose of discussing pending litigation.
So moved.
Support.
All right, call the roll in the closed session, please.
Laporte,
Yes.
Foltz,
Yes.
Kinsfater,
Yes.
Kleeman,
Yes.
Huffa,
Yes.
Cedar,
Yes.
carried, Your Honor.
Due to the constraints of that small room, and then we're going to do the closed session here, so I'm going to ask if you guys would go up to the lobby. If you want to hang out up there, we'll come and get you when we're done. We may take action after the closed session. We may not. We won't be. But we'll come and check if anybody's left there. We'll invite you back down. Thank you very much. Careful going home. Be safe.